Hello everyone, this is Daniel P. And now I am taking the time to do my Q&A video. I just want to let you know that I did try to do this a while back. This video was going to be put on the site around St. Patrick's Day. And it was a couple of days after St. Patrick's Day, but there was an audio problem and I didn't have the time to fix it, and so I just scrapped the video altogether. And I haven't had time to actually do this lately because now I'm working two jobs, and I can only find time to do something like this on my free time when I have my days off. And usually I would just like to sit back and relax, and I feel like the 2 days go by too quick for that to happen. So I I was thinking, well, I want to make sure that people who have an interest in this still know that this is alive. So now I'm going to take the time to actually do this, and once I'm done with this, then I have to head out because I have to go to work and I have to be there early in the morning next day. So I'm going to do this right now and stop putting it on hold. So right now, let's go ahead and start with the first Q&A video, and let's do take two now. So I got a few users, actually plus one, with a bunch of questions actually. So I very much appreciate that. Although there's only 4 people who came in and decided to give me some questions, they actually give me a bunch of questions. So I very much apply, and very much apply by that. So let me go ahead and start off with the first one, which is from Mattis S. He's this one guy that I talked to, and he's from Sweden. And his question goes like this. It says, okay, I will give you some questions then. How many Camelot-related films or series have you seen, and what do you think of Camelot in general? That's his first question. In Camelot, in general, I'm not very fond of Camelot in general. um, I'm not that type who would watch those kind of films or series about Camelot. I am one of those guys, though, who would be much more interested in visiting the real Camelot. I find that when it comes to a film or a series that deals with the portrayal of a certain point in history, I find that if I watched a documentary about a place or a group of people or something that has to do with history, I find that if you just tell me the real story, then it's much more interesting than to wrap it up in some kind of fictional story, and you try to grab my attention that way. Just tell me exactly what that place is like and just give me the history of it, and I would be much more interested in that than just watching some fictional portrayal of that thing that you're talking about. So not really much to talk about when it comes to Camelot, but if I had the chance to go visit, I definitely would. So the next question he has is, what are some of your favorite TV shows that you might have not talked about already? Okay, well, I can think of a couple. A major one definitely has to be The Twilight Zone, the original Twilight Zone. Yep. Rod Serling's Twilight Zone. Um, there's lots of reasons for me to put that as, if not my most cherished TV show, then it's definitely one of my favorites without a doubt. Because for one thing, I was introduced to that back in high school, and at that time in my life, when you're a young adult, there's a lot of things and ideas that are going through your head, and there's lots of new ideas and challenges that come your way at that point in your life. And for me, I tend to always think about what things are going to be like in the future. And so with that comes all those thoughts of anxiety and peer pressure, and what do you expect from yourself, and what you want out of life. And it turned out that the Twilight Zone happened to be a show that dealt with situations and characters um, that dealt with self-esteem issues, personal issues. And the Twilight Zone is always talked about as a show that is about scary stories, science fiction stories. But the thing is that people overlook the very personal stories that are told in the show. There's very melancholy elements to that show that people don't tend to think twice about, and because of that, it really resonated with me, and it still does to this day. And the Twilight Zone actually gave me a little bit of an education um, when it came to the presentation of a show. And it showed that you don't have to have a lot to really have an effective story, because all you need is a very good idea and very good um, actors to carry that idea, and that's really all you need to have a show that's going to succeed. And because of the ideas and the concepts that the Twilight Zone had, um, it really got me interested in writing. And ever since, and after I saw the Twilight Zone, I was actually pondering the idea of probably being a writer. Um, Even though I haven't made that a career, I am writing. And you probably know just from watching all the material that I put on YouTube that I make a lot of self-made projects, and I create everything, and that includes the writing. So the Twilight Zone a major influence on me without a doubt, and I still keep it close to me. And there's also another show that I have a very fondness of, and that is Mystery Science Theater 3000. And basically, it's the show where a bunch of guys, one guy and a few robots, um, they toy around with really badly made films. And and the thing that's really interesting about Mystery Science Theater is um, it's not just the concept of making fun of bad films. Even though that idea, it, it's all about the presentation that really is interesting, because I think it's interesting how it's very the way that the way that they will take these films, and they will take the time to actually want to talk about these bad films. It's interesting how they will take these films from certain time periods, and and really give the film a chance to express itself. And I think there's a certain kind of interest in exploring um, these kind of films, because they come from a certain time period, and it's films that are made of their films of their time. And it's interesting to see what the actors and the directors, where their minds were when they made these films. So it's a very interesting exploration into the people who made the film and the film itself. But another thing that's very interesting about Mystery Science Theater is the characters that are in the show, the main characters, and that is Mike, Mike or Joel, and the robots. And it's very interesting how the characters are presented, because I think it's interesting that when it comes to the humor and Mystery Science Theater, um, these are characters, and male characters for the most part, that are presented as characters that are very likable and very easy to like, because they don't act like your typical character or male characters that you usually see on television, because these are characters that display their uh, their appeal through their humor and the fact that they're non-brutish characters, because it to them for them it's about making people laugh and also being very knowledgeable, because the humor of Mystery Science Theater is about talking about silly things in a film, but also making references to a lot of different things. And so you have to be very savvy, very well read to understand the humor in Mystery Science Theater and to appreciate that kind of material. And it's interesting that these are the kind of characters that are presented in this show. Because it's all about the humor that they talk about, and it's very well read humor, and so being that brainy and that smart is part of those characters' appeal, and the fact that they're not impulsive, they're not loud, and yeah, I think that's an interesting element of the show that people don't bring up. So, Mystery Science Theater, I'm sure. I don't know if it's well known around the world, but people in the States surely they know about it. I'm sorry, it's getting late. So that was Matt's question. And then there is Oliver Smiley, who says we should start the Digimon radio show again since it's coming back. Digimon Adventure Try. I will get to that Digimon question in a bit, because there's another question that relates to Digimon. And that will happen in a while, because we're going to the next person who will ask that question in a bit. And that is Connor DeVille, I think, if that's how I say his last name. And he's a fan. Actually, he was a fan of the Digimon radio show. Yep. And he comes from Ireland. And his question is, actually, he has a list of questions. So let's start off with the first one. He says, where are you from? Sorry, that's my trying to do an Irish accent, and I'm just not up for it right now. So he says, where are you from? I'm from Clearwater, Florida, and I will be very happy to move on to a new place, because I've had a very up and down kind of bumpy life here, and I feel like if I move on to a new place where I can start a new life and really master the kind of life that I want, then I'll be much more happier there. It's because I can't start the new life that I want in this place, because what I need to make that happen does not exist where I live. And then the next one is, what age are you? And believe it or not, I am actually 26. And a lot of people say that, well, you don't look like that, you look younger. And so that's not the first time that people have actually said that. Because I get that same kind of expression all the time. It's like, no, you can't, you must be like in your early 20s. No, it's 26. And then the next one is, what is your favorite band or artist? See, that was a lot better. Favorite band or artist? My first major band that I loved was Queen. When I was in trying to remember now. Was it back in high? Yeah, it was back in high school, and it must have been the seventh grade. And so I'm a young adult, and Queen was the first band that I listened to. I understood what they were, where they were coming from, and I took time to realize what the band was all about. And it just wasn't like pop music where you just listen to it and you go, well, yeah, that's nice, I'm going to stick with it for a while, and it's just a fad. But no, with this, it it really captured my imagination because they were artsy. They had a very diverse style, and they were very flamboyant, and that was a kind of style that really appealed to me when I was looking for a musical band. Um, and so Queen's definitely one of my favorite artists and or bands. But over time, that has changed, and now one guy that I look to a lot in terms of not just an artist but also as a person, because I think he's not only a fantastic performer, artist, but also a really amazing inspiration. I mean, even amazing is it goes beyond amazing. But he's also another English character, and that is David Bowie. And basically, he has the same kind of traits that Queen have. Um, he dabbles in diverse styles, um, and it's interesting the kind of life that he's had, because not only as an artist, which is very breathtaking because he's done so much. Because he doesn't just do music; he does arts and craft. He does so many other things. But also the kind of life that he has lived is also very shocking, to say the least. And it's interesting that he has had his ups and downs, but the fact that he was able to uh, find new life for himself having a after having this very low point in his life. Um, yeah, it's a very inspiring, amazing tale, and because of what he has done in his life as a person and what he has done in terms of being an artist, everything about him is just fantastic. And so, lots of times when I have some kind of difficulty going on and I'm looking for some kind of inspiration, I just say to myself, WWBD. What would Bowie do? Did I say that right? 'Cause I think it's anyway. What would Bowie do? And let's see. Favorite YouTuber. Well, there's been different YouTubers that I have liked over time. The one that I currently like right now is a guy who goes by the name of Collective Learning. His real name's Rob, and I like him because he actually does analysis. He will take films and he will actually talk about the symbolism and the ideas behind those films, and they're very entertaining and they're very informative, and I like that kind of material because that goes to show that there's more to a film than just what's on the surface. It's not just a uh, what's the word? It's not just a superfluous experience, and so that would be my favorite YouTuber, Collective Learning. And do you play sports slash or do you play sports or are you a gamer? Um, I used to play sports, and the thing is, I just don't. I can't find the people, nor can I find the locations to play sports again. I would if I could, but I can't. And if I were to play anything, it would be something like it would actually be like the sports that are not that popular in America. So soccer, hockey, I can do that. But and also ultimate frisbee, I can do frisbee and volleyball too. Forgot that one. And so yeah, I'm more. I would say I'm definitely more of a sports guy than a gamer guy. I mean, I do play games, but I realize there's much more. There's much more to gain if you're doing sports than if you're doing gaming, because of the social aspect and and the fact that you get much more spontaneous and more quick results from it. Uh, Now the next question is, uh, do you miss doing DCT, which is the Digimon radio talk show that I did, and yeah, it was called DCT, Digimon Chat Talk. And do I miss it? I would say that I don't miss it in that I want to do it again, because I feel like that was a period in my time when, you know, it had a purpose for me and it served the purpose. And actually, I haven't heard anything from it in a long time. And I've I've had a falling out with Digimon lately. It wasn't too long ago that I got a um, a copy of Digimon on DVD, and I watched it, and I haven't watched it for a long time. And come to find out that it doesn't really have the same kind of quality that I thought it would have. It it just doesn't have the same kind of appeal that it had back when I saw it as a kid. Um, it, Quality is very important to me when it comes to the presentation of a show, and Digimon just was missing out on it. So, DCTV, I mean DCTV, DCT. So yeah, I don't miss it in terms of I don't do I want to do it again? No, but I did enjoy the experience when it happened, and I think that at some point the show was going to end because me and Chris, who was my co-host, we never talked about it. But the thing was, if you heard the dialogue that we had when it came to the kind of activities and things that we wanted to do on the show, we definitely had two different ideas about what the show should have been. And for me, it was, I wanted to be a radio show that happened to talk about Digimon. And for him, it was, he wanted to be a Digimon show that just so happened to be a radio show. And I didn't want to be exclusive to a particular audience because I just wanted to be another radio show that just happened to have this gimmick that it was done by a bunch of Digimon fans. And we talk about Digimon things every now and then. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on DCT. And his last question is, what do you see yourself doing in 5 years? Well, hopefully in the next 5 years, I will be a performer. I am studying to be a vocal performer, or as some people would say, a voice actor. People have been telling me that I should be doing something like that ever since 2008 or 2007. And I didn't take that serious until 2011. And right now, I have a teacher in a class that I go to every so often for vocal lessons and acting lessons. And I have a study book. And so that is actually my career dream, is to be a voice actor, voice performer. And I'm hoping too that I can move to uh, a very well-known city that is known uh, to be a breeding ground for performers. And that would be my idea of starting a second life. And from then on, I would just be that guy who wants to perform and see what he can get out of it. Hopefully, I can get a lot of travel out of it because that would be the one thing that I would look forward to the most. And yeah, and maybe I'm sure it's gonna happen a lot sooner than later. I know it will definitely happen before 2020. And if it did, then hey, then 2020 would be, the start of me doing a new life and a new career, and that would be my roaring 20s right there. So, and the last thing he said was, "Hoped I helped." Fawn from Ireland. Oh, yes, you did help. Thanks a lot. And hopefully you can send me more questions. And that will be it for now. It is getting to the late hour now, and I am getting tired. So thank you for watching and listening, and hopefully you will send more questions, and I will be more than happy to answer them, and hopefully I can make them sound just as entertaining as I did the questions that I talked about tonight. And thank you for watching, and I will see you again.